Well, temporary public land closures have been announced this week in Washington and Wyoming. Stay tuned for the details you need to know. Well, welcome back to another episode of Travel News for Nomads. I scour the news for stories of interest to lifestyle travelers, snowbirds, and those who love the great outdoors, so you don't have to. Do you know of a story that might be of interest? Please email it to me at robert.witham@gmail.com. And if you're interested in videos featuring scenery from some of the best places in the U.S., check out my other channel, Meanderings. Link to that's below in the description. Well, the Washington State Department of Natural Resources this week announced the closure of all DNR-managed public lands east of the Cascades in Washington State. The closure, which begins at 12:01 on Friday, July 23, so effectively midnight tonight when as I'm recording this on Thursday, it prohibits recreational and public access to DNR-managed land due to drought and extreme fire danger. The closure applies to all DNR-managed state lands, conservation areas, community forests, and any associated roads, trails, campgrounds, recreational sites, or recreational facilities. Quite a list. Washington State has already had more than 900 fires this year that have burned more than 140,000 acres. As a result of the extreme drought in eastern Washington, the number of fire ignitions is double the 10-year average in the state. All of eastern Washington is now considered to be at very high or extreme risk of wildfires. The announcement comes as the Red Apple Fire has burned more than 12,000 acres. This summer is smashing all of our records and leaving the state bone dry, leaving eastern Washington to face an ongoing tremendous risk of wildfire, said Commissioner of Public Lands Hillary Franz. Department of Natural Resources stated reasons for initiating this public land closure include current extreme hot and dry conditions, a forecast that shows no meaningful precipitation in the near future, current fuel loads, and a concern for public safety. These public lands will remain closed to public access until conditions have improved. I spent about 20 years ago, I spent some time in eastern Washington State, the Spokane area, over in the Coeur d'Alene, northern Montana. But it does get surprisingly hot and dry there during the summer, and that's without the drought that we now have been going on for better than 20 years. But this is a concern to a lot of nomads, whether full-time or part-time. You're traveling around. A lot of people are in the Northwest this summer, and so this is really concerning when you have huge amounts of public lands closed, because it really reduces opportunities to for where you can camp at a time when we're facing unprecedented camping pressure, because so many people are traveling by ground this year, trying to get out after the pandemic closures, not traveling by air and on cruise lines and things like they used to. So it's a real concern when you see this kind of closures at this time. Moving down to Wyoming, we have another closure. Bureau of Land Management has announced a temporary closure of the Sand Hills area northeast of Torrington in Goshen County, Wyoming. The reason? Illegal dumping. Fortunately, this is only a temporary closure. They're not closing it permanently, but this is the kind of thing that does lead to permanent closures. We've seen it too many times recently. So this closure, in this case, is for the purpose of allowing the cleanup of multiple trash dumping sites in the area, around the Sand Hills area. The closure is expected to last 3 days. That's July 21st to July 23rd, Wednesday to Friday. It may be extended if necessary, depending on how the cleanup operation goes. Law enforcement officers or BLM personnel will be in the area to enforce the temporary closure and to alert people who attempt to visit the area and perhaps didn't hear about the closure in advance. BLM does request that members of the public report suspected or observed illegal dumping to the appropriate field office, and they also request that your report include as much information as possible, including the date, location, a description of the incident, the when, where, what, who you saw, that kind of thing, GPS coordinates if possible, or at least road names and numbers. They also note that photos and videos can be invaluable for them, especially when they depict a license plate or OHV permit. I would only caution there, use common sense and protect yourself first. You don't necessarily want to make it obvious to someone committing a criminal act that you are filming them. That might serve to deter them and scare them off. It might also serve to put you in an uncomfortable position. So do use good judgment if you're attempting to gather information for BLM. But if you can do it safely, I definitely encourage everyone to report illegal activities like this, illegal dumping and stuff, abuse of public lands to the appropriate authorities whenever possible. So don't forget, travelers, send me links or details for stories that you think might be of interest. You can send those by email to me at robert.witham@gmail.com. Thank you to those who've already shared news and links. It does help. I scour the news, like I said earlier, but I don't see everything, so appreciate everyone forwarding that information. Also, don't forget to check out my other YouTube channel, Meanderings, for short, relaxing videos featuring some of the best scenery I encounter during my travels. Link to that's in the video description if you want to check that out. Thanks for joining me in this episode of Travel News for Nomads.